What if a single mistake changed everything? Imagine a family on the brink of destruction, abandoned by the world around them, struggling to survive with nothing but their love and determination. But when an eccentric billionaire, lost in his own world of power and riches, makes a small yet catastrophic error, it sets off a chain of events that could transform their lives forever. In the heart of this story, a family at their lowest point faces the impossible. They have been overlooked, forgotten, and discarded, living in the shadows of society. But just when all hope seems lost, the billionaire's blunder gives them a shot at something they never dreamed possible, a chance at redemption. With a twist of fate, what begins as an unfortunate mistake soon turns into their greatest opportunity. But will this unexpected turn lead them to a new beginning? Or will the world they've known forever come crashing down with even greater consequences? Stick with us to see how one wrong move can turn everything upside down, and whether this family will rise or fall in the wake of a billionaire's unintended gift. The billionaire's mistake, though small on the surface, ripples out with an unexpected intensity, reverberating through every aspect of the family's lives. At first, they don't even realize the gravity of what's unfolding. It's just an odd moment, an email sent to the wrong recipient, a forgotten contract, a miscalculation on a charitable donation. Yet that one misstep begins a process that will set the family on a course they never could have imagined. For years, the family had lived in the margins. The world around them turned its back on them, and they had learned to survive without anyone noticing. The town they lived in was a place where everyone knew everyone else's business. Yet somehow, no one saw them. They had grown accustomed to the feeling of being invisible, of walking through life unnoticed, and never expecting anything more. But now, that small, insignificant mistake would be the catalyst for everything to change. The father, who had once dreamed of better days, but had long since abandoned hope, finds himself entangled in a web of decisions he never thought possible. He receives a mysterious phone call from an unknown number, a voice on the other end claiming to be the assistant of the billionaire responsible for the error. At first, he's skeptical. He doesn't understand why someone like that would be reaching out to him. But the conversation is brief, cryptic, and oddly urgent, asking him to meet at a luxury hotel in the city. His heart races with uncertainty. Should he go? What could this strange turn of events mean for his family? For the first time in years, a glimmer of something he thought was long-lost hope begins to flicker inside him. But with that hope comes fear. What if this is just another cruel joke, a twist that leaves them even more vulnerable than before? Meanwhile, the mother, a woman who had always held the family together with quiet strength, senses that something is changing in the air. She watches her husband's sudden agitation, sees the look in his eyes as he holds the phone after the call ends, and feels a shift in the atmosphere. She can't shake the feeling that this mistake, this seemingly insignificant moment in time, is the beginning of something much bigger. Yet, she remains cautious. She knows how easily things can go wrong. She knows how the world, even with all its promises, can turn its back on those who don't fit its narrative. And then there are the children, each of them grappling with their own sense of identity and place in the world. The oldest, who had spent his adolescence trying to balance responsibility with rebellion, sees the meeting with the billionaire's assistant as a chance to escape the life that had never given him the freedom he craved, to escape the crushing weight of poverty, of failure. He believes that if this meeting could lead to something better, he could finally break free from the patterns that had held him back. But deep down, he wonders if he's chasing a dream that will only fade the moment he gets close enough to touch it. The youngest, still innocent and unaware of the weight of the world's judgment, doesn't see the meeting as an opportunity or a danger, just something strange. To her, the uncertainty in the air is just another part of life's unpredictability. But the more she observes, the more she feels the tension growing. She wonders if things will ever be the same and whether this change, whatever it may be, will take her family in a direction they can't return from. As the family begins to pull together for this mysterious meeting, they each experience the tension from different angles, never fully understanding the web that has been silently spun around them. And at the center of it all, the billionaire, unaware of the consequences of his actions, begins to feel the weight of his mistake pressing down on him. He had never meant to cause harm, never intended for his error to ripple outward in the way it did. To him, it was just another part of his world, a world of power, influence, and wealth, where mistakes could be smoothed over with a simple apology or a check. But this time, things were different. The mistake was too significant, too personal. As his assistant reaches out to the family, he begins to realize that the damage isn't just financial, it's emotional too. The family that he inadvertently affected is being pulled into a drama that could change their lives in ways he can't predict. But there's something else happening in the billionaire's life, something he's trying to keep buried. A competitor, someone with deep pockets and a knack for underhanded tactics, has caught wind of the situation and sees an opportunity to exploit the billionaire's mistake for their own gain. As the family takes their first steps into this new world of wealth and influence, the billionaire finds himself fighting battles he didn't anticipate. He never thought a simple mistake could lead to so much chaos. But now he's trapped in a web of his own making, facing threats from all sides. The stakes grow higher with each passing moment. The family heads to the city, unsure of what awaits them, and the tension mounts as they step into a world that feels both like a dream and a nightmare. The city's gleaming skyscrapers tower over them as they enter the hotel, a place that feels both foreign and terrifying. They're small fish in a massive pond, but they can't turn back now. They've come too far. Inside the luxurious lobby, they meet with the billionaire's assistant, a woman whose cold, efficient manner only heightens their sense of unease. She leads them to a private room where they sit, waiting for the man responsible for the mistake to show up. Time stretches on, each second more uncomfortable than the last. The assistant seems to be in a hurry, never pausing long enough for any real conversation. The family looks around, overwhelmed by the opulence of their surroundings, knowing they don't belong here, but still wondering if, just this once, they could have a chance at something better. And then the door opens. The billionaire enters, his face an unreadable mask. He's not what they expected: tall, yes, but his presence is strange, distant, as though he's not quite present in the moment. There's something unsettling about him, something that makes the family uneasy, even though they can't quite place it. He speaks with a calm, measured tone, offering apologies for his mistake. But even as he does, there's a sense that he's more concerned about how this situation will affect him than about the family's well-being. The conversation is tense, filled with half-truths and polite gestures, but no one truly knows what's at stake yet. The family doesn't trust him, and he doesn't fully understand them. But as the meeting drags on, the assistant's cryptic words begin to take shape in the family's minds. There's something more to this than just an apology. Something big is coming, something that could change everything. And just when they think they might finally understand where this story is going, a shocking turn of events shakes the foundation of everything they believed. The billionaire's assistant drops a bombshell, one that sends the family reeling in confusion and fear. They are left with a choice they never saw coming, one that will test their loyalty, their integrity, and their very sense of self. The meeting ends, but the questions linger. What does the billionaire really want from them? What happens next? And will they be able to navigate this new world they've stumbled into, or will the billionaire's mistake pull them further into a mess they can't escape? The answers lie in the uncertain future, But one thing is for sure, their lives will never be the same again. The meeting with the billionaire had left the family in shock. The assistant's final words echoed in their minds as they walked out of the hotel, unsure of what to make of it all. They had come hoping for answers, hoping for a chance at something better. But instead, they were left with more questions than ever before, and a gnawing feeling that they had just stepped into a world far beyond their comprehension. The family returned home, the weight of the billionaire's revelation hanging heavily in the air. The father tried to make sense of it all. The assistant had hinted that the mistake wasn't just an accident. It was part of a much larger plan, one that involved them in ways they couldn't yet understand. But what did that mean? Was the billionaire truly offering them something genuine? Or was it all just another game? A way for him to cover up his own mess? The mother, ever the pragmatist, didn't trust the situation. She'd seen too many people rise to power through manipulation and deceit. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The family had lived through enough hardship to know that opportunities like this didn't come without strings attached. The billionaire may have been offering them help, but what was he really asking for in return? As the days passed, the family tried to return to their normal lives, but nothing felt normal anymore. The world around them had shifted. The children couldn't stop talking about the meeting, their minds racing with the possibilities. The oldest son, who had longed for a way out, couldn't help but fantasize about what the future might hold. The youngest, who had always been more focused on the present, began to notice the tension between her parents. She felt the weight of it, even if she couldn't quite understand why. The father, despite his uncertainty, couldn't shake the feeling that they had been given a chance, a real chance to change everything. He couldn't ignore the way the billionaire had looked at him during that meeting. There was something in his eyes, something that spoke of shared experience, of a man who had once been where he was now. The father had always believed that people in positions of power were unreachable, untouchable. But now he wondered if that was just a lie they had all been told. And then the phone rang again. The voice on the other end was calm, almost too calm. It was the billionaire himself, the one they had all been trying to make sense of. His words were measured, but there was an urgency in them that sent a chill down the father's spine. The billionaire wanted to meet again, this time without the assistant, without any formalities. He wanted to speak directly with the family, to lay out his plans in full. The father didn't know what to think. His first instinct was to refuse, to walk away from it all and return to the life they knew, no matter how difficult. But deep down, he knew that they couldn't ignore this. Not now. Not after everything that had happened. The family gathered again, this time preparing themselves for whatever was to come. They knew that they had already stepped into the unknown, and there was no turning back. As they made their way to the meeting, the tension between them grew. The children sensed it, but no one spoke of it. The father's grip tightened on the steering wheel, and the mother's gaze remained fixed ahead, determined not to show any signs of fear. They arrived at the billionaire's private estate, a place that looked more like a fortress than a home. The gates opened as they approached, and they were escorted inside. The sprawling grounds were pristine, manicured to perfection. The mansion itself was an architectural wonder, a symbol of the wealth and power that the billionaire had amassed over the years. But as they entered the grand foyer, something felt different. The air was thick with anticipation. The billionaire was already waiting for them, standing in front of a large fireplace, his back to them. He turned slowly as they entered, his face still unreadable. "I'm glad you came," he said quietly, his voice carrying an air of finality. "I know this has all been a lot to process, but I believe that you're the only ones who can help me now." The family exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. The billionaire gestured for them to sit, and they did, taking their places on the plush chairs that surrounded the room. "I've made a mistake," he began, his voice tinged with something that almost sounded like regret. A mistake that has cost me more than I ever expected. It's a mistake that affects more than just me, it affects all of you as well. The family sat in stunned silence, their minds racing to process his words. The billionaire continued, his gaze fixed on them as if he were searching for something in their eyes. I've spent my life building this empire, but I've done it at the expense of those around me. I've ignored the people who matter most, and now I find myself at a crossroads. I can't fix the damage I've done, not alone. But with your help, I believe we can change everything. Together. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The family didn't know what to say. They had come expecting answers, but this wasn't what they had imagined. They had expected a business deal, a chance for financial freedom, not an invitation to join forces with a man whose life seemed so far removed from their own. "What do you want from us?" the father asked, his voice steady but cautious. The billionaire took a deep breath before responding. "I want to make things right. I want to give you everything you deserve. But in return, I need your help with something that could change the world. It's a project I've been working on for years, one that I believe could make a real difference. But I can't do it alone." The family listened, captivated yet wary, as the billionaire laid out his plan. It was ambitious, grand, and far-reaching. The project would require their full commitment, their trust, and their willingness to embrace a world they had never known. It would involve risks, great risks, but the rewards were beyond anything they could have imagined. As the billionaire spoke, the family felt the weight of the decision before them. They could walk away, return to their lives, and let this opportunity slip through their fingers. Or they could take a chance, step into a world that terrified them, and hope that this was the chance they had been waiting for. The oldest son, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "What's in it for us? You say you want to make things right. But how do we know you're not just using us?" The billionaire's gaze softened, as if he had been expecting this question. "I understand your skepticism. I wouldn't believe it either if I were in your shoes. But I'm offering you something more than money. I'm offering you the chance to change everything. To be part of something that can leave a legacy. Something that will matter long after we're all gone." The room fell silent again, each member of the family lost in thought. The father looked at his children, his wife, and then back at the billionaire. The decision weighed heavily on him. He knew that this was the moment that would define their future. After what felt like an eternity, the father spoke. "We'll do it. We'll help you." The billionaire's eyes lit up, a sense of relief washing over him. "Thank you," he said, his voice sincere. "I knew you were the ones. Together, we can make something truly incredible happen." And so, the family's journey took a new direction. They joined the billionaire in his mission, working together to create a project that would change the course of history. They faced challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but they never wavered. In the end, the family found the redemption they had been searching for, not through wealth or fame, but through the bonds they forged with each other and with a man who, like them, had made his mistakes but was determined to make things right. The project took shape and began to make a real impact. The family realized that the true reward wasn't in the material success they had gained, but in the transformation of their hearts and minds. They had found something more valuable than anything money could buy. A sense of purpose, a reason to believe in themselves, and in the possibility of redemption. The billionaire's mistake had indeed changed everything, but it had also given them the chance to change their own lives, and, in doing so, change the world. The story came full circle, but it didn't end there. The family, forever changed, stood at the threshold of a new chapter, knowing that they had discovered something greater than any dream they had ever imagined. Their redemption wasn't just about escaping their past. It was about embracing their future and everything that came with it. And as they looked ahead, they knew that the true power of redemption lay not in what they could take, but in what they could give.